Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it and we'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app, and we want to talk about the 2024 steel market recap and a 2025 preview, as many of you have been extremely disappointed in the steel markets this year, and justifiably so, as they have really had some horrible prices. We'll pull up a 1-year chart, and then hopefully we can pull up like a 5-year chart to show you kind of juxtapose how bad things are. But let's talk about the steel markets for a second. What happened in 2024? High fuel prices continued, high energy prices continued, from oil to gas to other types of liquefied, petroleum products. That hurt the steel markets, but also a lack of global growth and demand hurt the steel markets. Interest rates being up really high kind of hurt things. But let's take a step back and think about where steel is needed. Is it needed in roads and bridges? Yeah, it is. So that really hasn't changed year over year. Is it needed in construction on a residential side? No. So that didn't really change year over year. Even though we saw residential growth, we didn't need the steel, so that doesn't really matter. Industrial growth, what happened year over year? Did it grow? Yes. But what grew? Warehouses, places that are being built with rebar and concrete, and you need some racks inside, but you don't have a skyscraper that used 100,000 tons of steel. So where is the growth going to be in the steel industry? Is it going to come from the auto side? Well, auto growth happened, right? But they are using more aluminum. They're switching more to electric vehicles, so nothing crazy. So let's look at this chart for a second. Let's just see why it was such a poor year. Here you can see a 5-year cycle. Now, these prices, these are just to illustrate what the markets look like. So please don't say, oh, scrap prices. These are U.S. steel coil futures. So this is brand new product being sold from a steel mill to someone like Ford, who's going to buy these rolls and make stuff. Now, when you look at these prices in 2021 and 2022, continued to have a strong output. This was post-COVID. This was everyone getting back out there. Really nice numbers beginning of 22. All of a sudden, you started to see things changing. And what we've seen, if we could switch to a 1-year cycle, is a gradual decline that has sustained itself for the second half of this year. Now, if we look at these prices, at the beginning of the year, we started at $1,100 a ton, and today we're at $740. Again, these are not scrap prices. These are only steel prices to illustrate what's happened with the markets. Now, where's the demand going to come from? What is steel going to be used for? How are tariffs going to impact this? The Chinese continue to buy 50% or so of the world's iron ore. So countries like Australia, South America, that are just creating lots and lots of iron ore, a lot of it's going right to China. So they're controlling large parts of the market. Where else is steel going? Well, it's going to Turkey and it's going to India. What's happening in that area of the world? Chaos and destruction. Ukraine, Israel. You have all these different countries having these wars that are going on. Turkey is connected in that area. India is connected in that area. People are not sure who to do business with, because are the Chinese working with Russia, or are they working with the United States? Or are they working with India? Is India working with Russia, working with the United States, working with China? A lot of these things are up in the air, and it just become a little wishy-washy. And to add into the mix, Trump comes into office in January, and all he's been talking about is tariffs. Now, here's the good piece of news. I don't know how much lower steel prices could go. If we could pull up some of the light iron prices just to illustrate what we've seen, shred is fine. If we look at shred at $1.51 a ton, and you look at some of these prices, 170, 105, 180, right? Now, shred numbers are generally higher, but let's switch over to a light iron number so we can just illustrate how poor it's become, because some scrap yards are not even selling their light iron to larger scrap yards for more than 140 or 150 a ton. That really sucks. They need to have markets, and you might not feel bad for them. I get that, right? But if they're not getting good prices, you're not getting good prices either. So you can see a 45-day rolling average going into the end of the year at 119 a ton. And some of these prices, $5.25 per hundred, $5.75 per hundred, 5 cents per pound. Dipping down. My own scrapyard, we're at $80 a ton for light iron right now. So how do we switch from negativity to positivity? We need to see internal growth in the United States. We need to be able to see construction on an industrial playing field, right? I mentioned this in a weekly report. When they build power plants in the past, they have 30,000 tons of steel needed. Today, they can build a power plant with 1,000 tons of steel with the same amount of electrical output. So that's a 95% decrease, more or less, for the amount of steel needed. And unfortunately, that's going to continue to be the trend. Is Ford building new factories? No, not really. They did that for the EVs, and now they're scaling back, right? So are big companies building factories? No, what are we building? Servers farms, right? Data centers. What do you need? You need air conditioning. You need a building with some concrete, but you don't need a lot of steel. Where's the consumption going to come from? With tariffs being put in, with higher interest rates, and with a new administration coming into office, I don't see the first 6 months of the steel market in any positive way, shape, or form. So we're going to wait and see what happens. I continue to recommend selling your steel as you get it in. The one item that I did start to recommend holding in December were autos, and that's just because you could strip them down and get aluminum rims, radiators, wiring harnesses, batteries. You can strip them a little bit. But other than that, if you're holding on to cars, you can use these cars to throw your loose steel into. So if the markets do go up 30 or 40 bucks, you have one vessel full of steel that can get delivered to the scrapyard. Maybe there you can make some more money, but overall demand doesn't look strong. So please, continue to tune into our reports. Check out our other end of year recaps. We appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe and like our videos and our channel. Until next time, scrappers, I'm Tom, and I'll scrap you later.